was a dream homecoming for DeSean Jackson, wasn't it? 8 catches, 154 yards, and 2 touchdowns against his former team to the eruption of everyone at Lincoln Financial Field. You couldn't pitch the season opening win any better from DeSean Jackson's perspective, but I wanted to take this film room to dive a little bit deeper. We all know by this point just how valuable he is as a receiver and what makes him so dangerous, because we've already covered that in a former video and on plenty of articles and podcasts. But what we haven't covered yet, because we haven't seen it yet, is how DeSean Jackson changes the complexion of the offense. The same way Alshon Jeffrey did upon his arrival, the same way Zach Ertz does each and every week. What does the presence of DeSean Jackson mean for the Eagles offense? And that is what we're going to find out today. And I think that every Eagles fan will be able to take something new away from this video. And what I'd love for you to do is drop that down in the comments below. Whatever you take away, whether it's good, bad, somewhere in between, or something you weren't even expecting to take away, I want you guys to let me know down in the comments. But this is the first Eagles film room of the 2019 season. Before we get started though guys, as always, if you could leave a like and hit that big red subscribe button if you enjoy this sort of content, it would mean the absolute world to me. We want to build the biggest Philadelphia sports community possible and would love for you to be a part of it. And on that note, don't forget you can get your daily dose of Philadelphia sports coverage from myself and all of our writers at phillysportsnetwork.com. Let's start with this play in the second quarter. The Eagles are down 17-0. They need to get some momentum. It's 1st and 10. They motion DeSean Jackson to the other side of the field, and naturally Quentin Dunbar follows. But he lifts his arm in the air. You'll notice that. And what he's trying to signal is that he wants a safety to then drop back, because it's man coverage. He's clearly going to be in a tricky situation. And this is going to give each cornerback a third of the field while Dunbar gets in man coverage, and it pushes the safety back. The beauty of that is that the Eagles are running a play which every Madden player will love. It's a variation of what's basically known as PA crossers in Madden. You can call it many things in real life, but we're going to circle DeSean Jackson, who's lining up from the slot, and this is already where things get interesting, because it was assumed that DeSean Jackson would be WR2, play the majority of his reps outside. The Eagles already have a lot of targets over the middle, but out of the slot in week 1, he had 119 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 receptions, and did so on a whopping 48% of passing snaps, all from the slot. Huge shout out to Michael Kist for sharing that information in his article and on the BGN Radio podcast. So we've got DeSean Jackson in the slot, going to run a corner, and that's going to push Dunbar and that right hand corner out of the way, and it opens up a huge window for Nelson Agholor over the middle, all because Jackson's going to be motioned to the other side of the field and possesses enough of a deep threat for Dunbar to have to adjust. Now Dunbar is going to play zone coverage here. He's going to pass DeSean Jackson off to the safety, but the problem is he falls so deep because of that deep speed. It opens up that throwing lane to Nelson Agholor, who makes a great catch. Then there's this play, and it's again all down to the speed and the threat that Jackson possesses. Against Josh Norman, look at the off coverage cushion given to number 10. He's going to bring it inside. Norman goes with him. All traffic is going that way, and that allows Jordan Howard to sneak out underneath, catch a screen pass, and what would have been big yardage is ultimately brought down, but it's a nice chunk play on 2nd down, or at least the motive is there. If it was pressed, there may not have been that window, and the corner would have been much closer to make a play. We see another example here. The Eagles are in a 3-by-1 look. They've got 3 receivers to the right hand side of the field in 11 personnel. They're just going to run a curls concept. Every receiver's going to run a curl, and this is the other aspect of Jackson's play, that the timing and the chemistry he already has with Carson Wentz is so dangerous. We can talk about the leverage here and how the cornerback is already about 6-7 yards away from the ball, but mainly what's interesting is Jackson knowing when to turn in relation to the perfect timing for Carson Wentz, and we'll get to that in much more detail later, but this bit is just about the leverage. There's another example of that here. You're going to have DeSean Jackson on the outside of the field. It's zone coverage. He just slips between 2 defenders, makes a nice easy catch. All eyes on the quarterback, and Jackson's able to slip away and just catch the toe drag swag here right on that sideline. You can't beat that from a wily 32-year-old veteran. Since we're talking about Jackson, Jackson as an individual now as opposed to his impact on the offense just for a little bit. Let's just look at this. He gets motion to the outside again. There was a lot of pre-snap movement from the Eagles. And look at the matchup. Again, plenty of cushion here. Jackson's going to run a simple dig, but it's the way in which he does it that is so impressive. And if you watch the other film room on this channel on DeSean Jackson, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, the corner's lined up in a way where he's trying to take away the boundary. You can see this by the way he's angled. He's got his eyes on the quarterback. So Jackson angles himself toward the boundary. You can see the body movement. He then cuts upfield, which forces the corner to move in, open his hips. And the second that happens, with the crispest cut imaginable, Jackson goes right across the face of the corner and hauls in a nice timed pass to move the chains for a first down. Now, I've kept both of Jackson's touchdown grabs out of the way for now for a reason, but let's just tease you with the first one. So you can see the Eagles lining up 11 personnel, 3 receivers to the outside, and Jackson once again wreaking havoc from the slot. But this is something I want you to watch. Sean Dion Hamilton is going to drop back, and this is going to mean that we're going to see a buzz from the 2 safeties, also meaning the 2 outside corners once again will take a third of the field, and the nickel cornerback presumably in man coverage or curl and flat situations. Why is this important? Because the Eagles are once again going to try and attack the middle of the field with speed and with size. Alshon Jeffrey is a big body that should draw attention. Jackson can go deep right across the face of that safety, which you presume is in a cover 2 to begin with, and then underneath on those check down routes, which you presume is going to draw the attention of the safeties and hold them, you've got Zach Ertz and Nelson Aguilar. So there's plenty of optionality here. Now, Wentz at this point, he's eyeing up those safeties because they do buzz down, and he's got 2 windows to look at. He's got the check down underneath, but because that safety next to DeSean Jackson is pressing down, it opens up a one-on-one matchup where a 21-mile-an-hour DeSean Jackson can breeze by with ease, track the ball over his shoulder like the veteran he is, and haul in his first touchdown grab as an Eagle. It's a great route by Jackson, it's great tracking, but what a read from Carson Wentz, the 2 of them on the same page. Let's calm things down just a little bit and go back to how Jackson opens up the offense. Again, he's in the slot here, he's got a cushion to work with, and just by pushing forward and moving that corner away, he opens up 2 potential routes. You've got a slot underneath for Jeffrey, or we've got the out route as well, which was open for Carson Wentz. But again, just pushing that leverage buys the space underneath for Jeffrey. It's a chess match for Doug Peterson, and this is something I'm interested in. This isn't even a play. It looks like a blown dead run behind the line of scrimmage, but it opens up potential ideas moving forward. Watch DeSean Jackson in the slot. There's a potential wide receiver screen here. The man opposite him is Alshon Jeffrey, who could push the corner into the end zone. He's got the size there. Then you've got one-on-one DeSean Jackson versus Josh Norman, a matchup you'd like to think number 10 would win. And while that pass may not have been called, it may not even be a potential possibility, but I do think it has a place in this Eagles offense. We know how creative they're being. This play here, of course, we see DeSean Jackson move to the slot. It's almost expected at this point, but I want to get back onto Jackson and Wentz and the timing of their routes, because I think it is something that is going massively underrated. The 2 of them are more than just on the same page, and you'll see this in the Carson Wentz angle of this throw. It's 2 steps, the ball is out of his hands straight away. It's poetry in motion. Jackson knows where the ball's going to be. Wentz knows where number 10 is going to be. And if you do want to come down and press DeSean Jackson, if you don't want to risk being in off coverage to avoid being burned underneath, that's the reality. That pass wasn't targeted to Jackson, but if it was, that could have gone to the house as well. Defense is compensating for the speed of DeSean Jackson, is allowing for Jackson and Wentz to really thrive on those timing routes. Jackson is no longer just a deep threat, and timing routes and West Coast offense is a match made in heaven. So we're going to see much more of Jackson on outs and curls and slants, because the rapport is there and defenses are just giving it to them on a silver platter. But let's take a look at this play. This is DeSean Jackson's 2nd touchdown grab as an Eagle, and according to Fran Duffy, who broke this down brilliantly on Twitter, that Wentz saw something he didn't like, so he audibled the play because it looks like it's going to be single high coverage and they want to force him into a bad decision. Now, how do we know Wentz saw this? Because watch his eyes on the drop back. He's straight away holding that 2nd safety. He wants that one-on-one matchup, force him into the buzz, and there we see the decision. Wentz fires deep. It's DeSean Jackson. Pick your poison. They went with the kind that kills quickly. A great touchdown by the Eagles. Carson Wentz and DeSean Jackson are lighting up the NFL, or at least the Redskins, but this is a relationship that could well dominate the NFL, and the reason for it is it really is a rock and a hard place for NFL defenses. If you respect the speed and you play off coverage, the two are so in sync that any route underneath becomes a lethal blow, and if you want to press, you expose yourself to that game-breaking speed of one of the best deep threats in the game. But I want to know, guys, what do you think of today's video? Did you learn anything new about how DeSean Jackson is being implemented into this offense, and what will we see from him moving forward? Give me your projection for DeSean Jackson in week 2 against Atlanta, a team that was beaten by the Minnesota Vikings in week 1. Drop those down in the comments. I'd love to see how excited you are about number 10 being back in Philadelphia. But from myself, Liam Jenkins, thank you so much for all of the support on this channel. It's crazy to see it growing this quickly, and it really does mean the absolute world to me. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @LiamJenkinsPSN. I'll see you soon.